Okay, we are at the portion of our debate where candidates can ask another candidate a question. This is how it's going to work. The candidate will have 30 seconds or less to ask one other candidate a question. Chris and I were not given these questions in advance, so we're going to hear them for the first time as well with you. With that said, Mr. Keller, you may now ask your first question, and candidates, please remember you have 90 seconds to answer that question. Mr. Keller.
So my question is for Manny. And my question is that your campaign admitted to widespread fraud and forgery in your own campaign. You faced 5 different legal hearings, some of it Supreme Court, some of it District Attorney, and all 5 of those agreed that you did wrong. As a law enforcement professional, what are you going to do to enforce the 4th-degree felony crime that it is for forgeries in your own campaign by your own personal secretary and your former spokesperson?
I am not going to be lectured by a politician who was convicted of campaign finance violations and where he cheated in his first election. In the second election, he was found at fault for the same type of violations by the Albuquerque Journal. What I will tell you is this: I was tried by the mayor and his city-appointed clerk, and they have 2 sets of rules. One set for the mayor, where he's allowed to cheat and have no accountability. And a second set of rules for me to violate my due process and my constitutional rights. How convenient for him and his campaign and City Hall representatives and appointees to be the judge, jury, and executioner of a political lynching of our public finance money. What I'll tell you is this: it was a blessing. It wasn't a blessing in this fact. And the truth is that we turned back and we went and we started private financing, and that was a blessing for this campaign. Now, our supporters can give donations. You can go to www.mannyforabq.com and give your donations. Thank you for your support.
Okay, and we are now going to also let Mr. Gonzalez ask his question to any candidates.
My question would go to the mayor. Mayor Keller, where's your accountability? There are serious misconduct allegations at City Hall under your watch. Allegations of your own domestic violence incident being covered up by high-ranking city officials. Another allegation of a high-ranking city official who was driving drunk and was involved driving a city vehicle and involved in a crash. And the third is also you having allegations of having an affair with a city subordinate. How can the public trust you to fight crime in Albuquerque when you can't even fight crime in City Hall?
Okay. Mr. Keller, you may now answer the question.
What a disgusting pre-prepared question you just read was. I mean, let's first off be clear. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with the fact that I have never been involved in any of the incidents you mentioned. And as my family will attest to, have never, ever done things like had an affair. And look, if you're just going to make your questions the gossip on Twitter and on Facebook, I mean, I hear all sorts of stuff about everyone all the time, and I don't dignify it because I don't believe it because there's no evidence or truth behind any of it. And this is coming from a guy who just has a litany of myths and mistruths that he says. I mean, even what he said about, cheating and guilty about finance, none of that is true. There is literally nothing behind anything that you're saying. Like, you're just saying words that you saw on social media. So I also know this. There was something in there about like a coworker, and that's also that's defamation, and you should know that, Sheriff. Look, I mean, you can have a debate, we can talk about policies, but unless you have any shred of evidence of any kind, then that is actually going to be on you. Talk about accountability, fraud in your own campaign, literally. And now just blatantly defaming people for a political stunt so that you can raise money off of it, which is what you just asked voters to do. It's pathetic.
Mr. Gonzalez, you have not had a rebuttal opportunity this evening, so we'll give that to you. You have 20 seconds.
All I asked was a simple question, for a yes and no answer if you could. How could the public trust you to fighting crime when you can't even fight crime at City Hall? That was my question. Thank you.
Mr. Keller, you can answer that if you would like to, 20 seconds.
I'm accountable every day for everything that's real and truthful and factual. And all the other garbage you want to throw out, save it for social media.
Mr. Aragon, you may ask your question now.
Real life TV drama here. My question is for Sheriff Manny Gonzalez. And he has now made me part of this drama that he seems to love so much, despite the fact that he is 0-5 in front of the ethics board. He has now put me in front of the ethics board. So I'd like to ask him and explain to our viewers, instead of focusing on the issues, which are city, crime, commerce, the things I want to run off, please explain, after I gave you use of my radio station, Sheriff Manny Gonzalez, why you decided to put me in front of the ethics board. Thank you.
I have not put you in front of the ethics board. That was the doing of my political consultant. I'm not aware of what you're talking about. I have been the sheriff and running the sheriff's office, and I've also been a candidate. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mr. Aragon, we'll give you 20 seconds to clarify.
You just admitted that you are colluding and using your political consultant, and you just admitted that your MFC is working directly with your own campaign, and you have now just admitted fraud, Sheriff Gonzalez. Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez, 10 seconds, and then we're going to move on.
That's not what I said. My political consultant brought those things. I have no idea what you're talking about. That's just your misunderstanding.